2006, the United States Census Bureau determined that there were nearly 1.5 billion credit cards in the United States. A stack of all those cards would reach nearly 70 miles into space and be as tall as 13 Mount Everest. When I read that statistic, it really made me think about how much our country must rely on the use of credit cards, and that was 3 years ago, before all of the economic hardships such as people losing their jobs or being laid off. According to the survey that I had the class do, a quarter of the class already has at least one credit card, and a quarter of the class knows of someone who has a debt of at least $10,000 or who has filed for bankruptcy. I think that it's important for young adults such as yourselves who are just starting out your lives to be aware of the credit card traps that so many Americans have found themselves in. Young Americans now have the second highest rate of bankruptcy, just after those aged 35 to 44. And even though everyone in the class feels that people in general rely on the use of credit cards too much, anyone in here could fall prey to the credit card industry. According to Visa.com, as of March 31st, 2009, there were 318 million Visa credit cards and 346 million Visa debit cards in circulation. Credit cards are accepted everywhere, and it makes it easier for people to use them. And credit card companies also tend to target young people in hopes that they won't be able to make their credit card payments. According to Sally Mae, half of college undergraduates had 4 or more credit cards in 2008, and penalty fees from credit cards will add up to about $20.5 billion in 2009. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling says when finances are tight, people tend to pay their credit card bills last, and 41% of adults, or more than 92 million people living in America, gave themselves a grade C, D, or F on their knowledge of personal finances. Now, I'm not saying that anyone in here feels this way about themselves, but anybody could find themselves in this situation. And even though a majority of the class at this point don't have a credit card, that could change at any time. Think about it. When you go to a department store, when you're checking out, they usually ask you if you have a card with them and if you would like to open an account if you don't, so you could save a certain amount on your purchase. And apparently, you just don't take them up on this offer, and it may be because you don't have a job, or you're in a hurry, or maybe you do believe that if you don't have the money, you really don't need it. And I think that's a good thing, but just in case you do decide that you want to get a credit card one day, I'd like to give you a few tips to help you staying away from a debt that you won't be able to repay. The first is to keep your cards at a minimum. One card is enough. Also, only charge what you can afford to pay. Also, try to pay your balances in full every month. Stay away from cash advances. And finally, don't let your friends or family use your cards, because you have to remember that you're the one responsible for repaying the bill. I chose a clip from a documentary called Maxed Out, and it just reinforces what I said.
Yeah, just touch it.
Companies keep flooding our mailboxes with 4 billion offers a year.
As of the end of September, banks alone have made available $3 trillion of credit on their cards.
They want you to charge things costing only a few bucks, like a burger, or a latte, or soda from a vending machine.
Credit card fees have gone up 160% over the last 5 years.
Consumer lending is grossly profitable. I can't even find the right word to give you here. Consumer lending is obscenely profitable.
We want to appeal to the broad scale, not just the upscale and not just a certain segment of the market.
The average American household has more than $9,000 in credit card debt and spends more than $1,300 a year in interest payments.
When I got involved in this business back in the 80s, we were paying $15 for over-limit fees. I just recently saw that raised to $43. Think about that. $43 if you're late, $43 if you're over limit. $86 on your credit card statement before you even do anything. Then your interest rate is going to jump to 21.9 and then all the way up to 28.9.
So they want you to be late.
They want you to be late.
You know who one of the most popular customers of credit card companies is right now? People who've been through bankruptcy. The reason, as one of the vice presidents of MasterCard once explained to me, is we know two things about them. One is that they can't file for bankruptcy again. And the second is they had a taste for credit. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, well, they're willing to make minimum monthly payments forever. And that's where we make our money.
Now, there is some hope, though. Back in March of this year, Congress passed a credit card reform, which will ban unfair credit card practices. So hopefully there'll be hope for us, or for people who do use credit cards. But if you do decide to use one, make sure that you are responsible and think about it before you decide to purchase anything.